Brian Torres. I graduated in 2007 as a biology major. I'm currently a partner at Herspiegel Consulting. My company, Herspiegel Consulting, is a firm that focuses on pharmaceutical clients and helping them launch and bring products to the marketplace. And my current role is a lot of project delivery, helping set the strategy, set the timelines, and really set the trajectory for new products coming to the market from pharmaceutical and biotech companies. Within my role, it's more of almost a business owner type role where I deliver projects, deliver content, but I'm also helping define service offerings and come up with new ways to help our clients, helping bring in new business and find a new client who our services could be a great fit for, and also help create the culture within our organization of bringing the right people in, training the right people, and ensuring everyone's on exciting projects that they want to do and grows in the right direction. I don't know that there's ever a typical path, and it's certainly something I struggled with. I was biology, I was pre-med coming out of St. Joe's, and I was convinced I was going to be a doctor, and then realized after taking the MCAS that I didn't want to be a doctor. It was just something not for me. So my entry path was question of what do I do now? And I ended up going to Merck, and I worked at Merck for a few years in manufacturing, quality, some of the more science heavy sides of pharma, and then realized that that wasn't for me. So I went back and went to business school while I was working at Merck and decided afterwards that I wanted to see as much of the industry as I possibly could. So I joined a small consulting firm to be able to see multiple clients, multiple companies, to see multiple products across therapeutic areas and really get a sense of what I liked. And then realize that I really just liked the consulting and seeing how other pieces come together. As far as a typical entry path, the whole kind of figure things out along the way is actually a pretty typical path. We have folks at our company who are they were practicing physicians and they decided that wasn't for them and they joined. We have a number of folks who do sales or do marketing and they want to get more into the strategy or more into the big picture pieces and they come to us. Folks who have experience will generally come in at the consultant level, but we also have a number of folks now who are coming in right out of undergrad and folks who want to be exposed to as much as they can to figure out what they like and almost as importantly, what they don't like. And those folks generally come in at the analyst level where they're learning a little bit more and they're almost a mentee, and it's an apprenticeship model where people are teaching and coaching them as they're on initial projects. A lot of consulting and a lot of just general careers are soft skills. And I'll say hard skills are important as well, but for me, it's all around relationships. What are the soft skills? How do you build and connect with the person? How do you tell your story? And how do you really figure out how you can help someone best? And that's all consulting is. Consulting is around finding a problem that your client has, putting some structure around it and helping them. So a lot of honestly, the skills that are best from St. Joe's is connecting with friends and networking and career development sessions. And a lot of the soft side of just the fun parts of school actually helped me probably as much as anything. But then there's the hard side of things as well. As a kind of bio pre-med major, I learned a lot of the science. I was also a business minor, so I learned marketing frameworks and strategic insights, and those parts help. And I still need all of the science and all of the business pieces, but I really think the best piece is around the soft skills, which are the intangibles and sometimes hard to teach. Be willing to reach out and ask for a connection. I think all too often you see a job title or you see someone you don't know and you're a little bit nervous or you don't know if you should reach out. I'd say more often than not, when you reach out to someone, particularly an alumni who comes from St. Joe's, they're willing to help. Like, everyone has a very fond memory of what it was like on Hawk Hill and working and being at St. Joe's for so long, and people are willing to help. So be willing to reach out, but make sure you've done your homework before reaching out. Sometimes I have people reach out and they don't really have any questions or don't have anything to say. They just want they want help without any kind of clear objectives, and happy to help, but it's not always easy to understand how to help someone. So oftentimes what's the best conversation is if you do a little bit of research on consulting or do a little bit of research on pharmaceuticals and have a little bit of a question or an early perspective, that helps drive the conversation a little bit. And then myself, if anyone wants to reach out, or anyone else as a St. Joe's alumni, I'm sure I'll be happy to help. understanding what this field was. I came from the School of Science, and I was convinced I was going to go into medicine, and I just didn't know about the whole other side of pharma. For me, the perspective was you can go into pharma and you can be a sales rep, or you can do a little bit of marketing, but I didn't totally understand what that was. So for me, the biggest barrier is just an understanding of how can you use science, or how can you use business, and how can you use it to think strategically and do really cool things that are also helping patients and helping your clients get better. So it was just a big learning curve for me. And as someone who was just coming out of school, I felt that it was difficult to reach out and to network and to learn, because I just didn't know where to go or how to approach it. So I kind of wish that there were people that were willing to maybe better connect, or I wish that I knew of more alumni who were talking on Hawk Hill and kind of talking about their experiences, because I definitely would have connected, particularly in the School of Science, where you just didn't always know where to go or what to do. Diversity and inclusion is essential in consulting. And consulting, I think a good way to describe it is there's very intangible problems at times that don't have a clear answer. And for problems that don't have a clear answer, it's all about perspectives. And the more diversity, the more inclusive your workplace is, the more perspectives you have, which helps you solve problems better. And as you have a table with very different backgrounds and different opinions, and people bring different thoughts, and it starts a really nice collaborative conversation, and that helps us be better, be stronger, and be more efficient in all the projects we do. Diversity and inclusion has made a lot of progress over the last couple of years. So I mentioned I graduated in 2007. It's 15 years ago now. I feel like it was a very different environment. I feel like at a big company, you weren't hearing about it as much. I feel like it wasn't as forefront as it is now. So I'd say in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of progress of really focusing and bringing on the right people with the right background and making those perspectives count. And I think the last couple of years have been great to see, as we are now, I'm at a small company, we're about 55 people, and we have a lot of diversity, a lot of people of different backgrounds and different views. And it's really nice to have that. And it's nice to have those collaborative and nice conversations with those folks. I think there's a lot you can learn while at school. And for me at St. Joe's, I remember when I took a few philosophies and sociologies and psychologies, and I kind of thought they were just required classes. Like I wanted to get back to focusing on my science classes and my business minor, but some of those classes were honestly what I remember most, like understanding the philosophies and the ways that people think, and the psychology that goes into every decision, and the different hierarchy of needs. And some of those pieces go into my everyday thinking now. As I'm meeting with a person who's describing their problem, I'm trying to understand what are the shoes they're sitting in, and what are the reasons and the views behind the behaviors that they're eliciting, and what are the things that they're not saying that are just as important as what they're saying. And those type of classes actually got me really interested in psychology and behavior change and all those types of pieces. So from a couple of books that I've really liked, I think the psychology, behavior change, I really like The Elephant in the Brain is a good book there. Networking is something I had to learn. I think I spent a lot of time in chemistry and science labs, and probably could have networked more and could have built my social skills more. So around networking, I really like the How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's an old school Dale Carnegie book, but I think it's a really interesting perspective of how to get other people to talk. And maybe you don't talk as much. It's more about listening and building strong relationships through listening, which I think is really important. I think most of us talk too much, including myself. And then the last one, I love the concept of leadership. And leadership means something different for everyone. So leadership is about a journey of figuring out who you are and how you lead and what your style is. But a book I really liked is called Extreme Ownership. It's by two ex-Navy SEALs who talk about their philosophy of managing their team when they're deployed into very stressful environments. And it was all around, if your team fails, it's on you. It's not about the weakest link on your team. It's not about the people who are on your team. It's about you creating a strong enough culture and a dynamic environment where people feel comfortable explaining when they need to be trained more, or they feel comfortable trusting others on their team. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to you as the leader being the one who's responsible for changes. And when you flip your view of this person failed to I failed because I didn't empower that person enough, it's a really empowering view of how to work with your team. And it's one of my favorite books. Stop stressing so much on your perfect first job out of school because almost no one gets it right. I was so stressed, so I decided that I wasn't going to go into medicine, and I was graduating with no job because I decided way too late that I wanted to do that. And I thought I was like failing with all the different amazing classes I had taken, that I didn't have this perfect job coming out of school, or that I didn't even know really what I wanted to do. I felt lost. And as I've gotten further into my career, I realize most people don't get the right first job. It's almost more around figuring out what you don't want to do, um, than just getting it right the first time. So for me, it's been try things, see what I like, see what I don't, but continue to learn and grow and develop, and then find something that you really like and figure out how to create a career around it. Like for me, it was always, how do I come up with a new business idea? Or how do I solve a really difficult problem? Or how do I take something apart and understand how it works? So that's why I thought I liked physics or science or those pieces. But I didn't realize consulting is just that. Consulting's building a business. Consulting's taking pieces apart of projects. And it's just not something I was ever exposed to growing up, the whole consulting or heavy business side of things. And I think I stressed way too much trying to get it right. And it's just not what happens.